Hey Kim.
Hey.
Hi, I totally forgot today was Friday.
Oh my goodness.
I don't know
That
what happened.
busy?
Yeah, I feel like this week went on so fast. Like it
Oh my
went on.
goodness.
Yeah, I felt like it went on too fast. Like I couldn't believe it's already Friday, and then it's so weird. Yeah.
Oh goodness.
So I
I was
was like,
worried. I was like, that's weird because she always here and she
yeah.
doesn't not be here. I even texted my brother. I'm like, have you heard from her? Because I mean, because I was like, weird. I was like, I've done this and done this and no response. And I know that you say you don't usually have your phone around you at all times. So I was like, hope everything's okay.
Yeah, gosh, sorry. Anyway, yeah. So
Oh
how you
goodness.
doing? How's your week been?
It's going good. Ah, these kids.
What's
Mm,
happening?
mm. They like to tag team me. And so it's my nephew and my son, both 13. So it's like having twins, even though they're cousins.
Yeah.
And, you ask them to get together to do something, and it seems like always one's got to have like an issue with whatever we're doing. It's never
Oh.
both of them at the same time. I swear they secretly go and like tag team each other out. So
Mm,
this week it was my son. So
mm,
we were rearranging grandma's room
yeah.
and I had to use a voice I don't like to use.
Uh,
And, like I understand when my mom sat there and said, when I got in trouble and she's like, oh, this hurt me more than it hurts. This could hurt me more than it hurts you. Because I feel
yeah.
like that when I have to raise my voice
Uh-huh.
with my son.
Mm-hmm.
And, he was so busy being caught up being upset about
Mm,
having to do something other than what he wanted to do. So
yeah.
we are working on a project of getting grandma's room, her bed switched out. So she's switching to a smaller bed.
Mm,
And we were rearranging her room for her because grandma does a lot for all of us in the house.
yeah,
And
yeah.
so, and I couldn't do this all myself because
Mm,
stuff had to get upstairs. And well, that stuff
mm,
was too big for me to do by myself.
yeah.
So just because he didn't want to do that, he had other plans. And he woke up on the wrong side of the bed because he also slept till like, I think it was like almost 11:30, which he has never, my
Mm,
son has never
mm,
slept that late ever.
wow.
And he woke up with his hair all smooshed. And I was like, man, looks like you slept good too. Because usually my son's up at 0 dark 30 in the morning.
Mm,
So I don't know. I think he was just having a day. He got caught up in so being upset that he was not able to listen
mm,
to clear instructions. And
mm,
so this consisted of me repeating myself. And then because I repeated myself, getting a tone and an attitude from
yeah.
my child. And
Mm,
so, and then he constantly argued back. So then I had to raise my voice to be louder than him to
yeah.
snap him out of it and to get his attention. And I hate doing that. I
Yeah.
hate it. I do not, I'm sure the neighbors could hear me. It was ridiculous. And
Yeah.
then, we of course sat there later and had the discussion and,
Mm,
talked about it. And he kept putting it on me. Well, but you got this way. And I say, listen,
mm,
I wouldn't have had to, but I asked you and gave you clear instructions. And upon
yeah.
clear instructions, you got
Mm,
mad and you had an attitude. And he goes, well, you just need to leave me alone. I was like, I can give you space, but when we have a project and we have something that we're having to do, you don't have time. And this is going to happen in life when
yeah.
you're at your job. People are going to say or do something that you don't like or agree with, but you still have a job to do. And
Yeah.
that's where we were at. We still had a job to do, and I
Yeah.
had to talk to you because I was given instructions on things
Mm,
I needed and to have help with.
yeah.
So uh, it was a lesson learned
Mm,
for both of us, but it was still difficult, and we did talk about it. And girl, I hate it. Absolutely hate it. That is what's so tough about being a parent is having to sometimes be loud.
Yeah.
And it's so frustrating because it's like, are you just not understanding the words coming out of my mouth? I mean, they're so simple. I said, put it from take this off here and put it right here. I even
Yeah.
pointed when I
Yeah.
did it. So you had, there was no more else I could do,
Mm.
for
Yeah.
you. But, the thing is, like I said, he was being mad. So he was
Mm.
all down here in his downstairs brain. He was not
Yeah.
connected with his upstairs brain. So it was like nothing was being done. And then I let myself get upset and irritated with
Mm.
that. And it was like, ah,
Yeah, totally
uh,
understand to be honest. Yeah, sometimes I also raise my voice. But yeah, you need to do what needs to be done. I don't care about your feelings. Yeah, so
yeah. And it does hurt me because we are so close. And it really hurt because he did that when we
mm,
talked. He's like,
yeah.
but I was like, I have to raise my voice. I have to do this. When you're not listening, I have to get your
Mm,
attention. And he
yeah.
sits there and his 13-year-old self goes, but you're mommy. And I was like, but even mommy doesn't want to do that. But
Yeah.
you have to get respect, you have to give respect. And you were
True.
not given respect at that time.
Mhm. And
So
mommy is preparing you for the outside world. The outside world does not care about your feelings.
no, they don't. They
Yeah.
don't. And it's sad, and that's what's hard about being a parent is
Yeah.
having to
Absolutely.
do that stuff. And I could hear the hurt in his voice. He was so hurt, but he was not understanding. Just because you're having a moment does not give you a right to have those actions. You can be upset, right? And
One.
we can all be upset, but you do not have the right to yell or throw things or hit or do, which he didn't do any of those things. But he has
Yeah.
to understand.
Thanks, Empress Millie. Thank you, Manza. Thank you so much, guys, for liking the live. Please follow us if you've not yet followed us. Yeah, I totally get it. I totally get it, to be honest. When it comes to like telling your child to do something and they're like carrying themselves like they don't want to do it, or they do it and then you look at what they have done and you're like, what is it you've actually done? And the person is really mad. I know I've seen my son banging the door a few times. I'm like, why are you banging the door? Come here. Why are you banging the door? Like, I did not. It just happened. I'm like, I know what you did. so,
Yeah, need a
so
child. The
sometimes,
other thing is when they come in there, my nephew did this yesterday. He scarfs down his food. Like this boy acts like somebody's trying to steal his food from him. Like he eats so fast. I mean, he's like my grandfather, but my grandfather lived in a time where you had to eat or, you
yeah,
didn't have any food, right?
yeah,
My nephew has plenty of food, but this boy, and where he puts his food, I have no idea because he's like this big. Um, but he eats so fast. And I was like, dude, we haven't even sat here for 5 minutes and you finished dinner. I
yeah,
mean, you have to stop because all I hear is click, 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 click. I was like,
uh,
you're taking in a lot of air. And the
yeah,
reason you're not feeling full is because you haven't given your body time. Like you have to chew more
you,
than two bites,
yeah,
like more than twice. So then he'll go, I'm like, it's
yeah,
not a race. So
mm-hmm.
anyways, I said he wanted seconds, and I'm like, you can wait 30 minutes because you have to give your body time to
Yeah,
digest and do what was with that food. So he
mm,
come back in the living room, and he's in my corner, and he's by the couch, and he's doing this noise. And I'm ignoring him because I'm like, for sure he's going to open his mouth and talk to me like a big boy. No, he keeps doing this noise. And I was like, do you
yeah,
need something? And he's like, and he just looks at me. And I'm like, can you please use your words? I was like, don't ever, because he wanted seconds. I knew what he was doing. And I told him after
yeah,
30 minutes, he can
yeah,
get seconds. And he sat there and I was like, do not ever come in there and do that. If you want something, you speak and you use your words.
True.
Don't make noises like that. Don't.
Yeah.
No.
Mm.
I tell you, it's like tag team on both of them.
Yeah, it's like they become passive aggressive. Like I'm telling my
Yes.
son, wash the dishes, and then you can hear the dishes, like you can hear the noises, and you're like, man, yeah, I know what you are doing. Then you tell him, hey, I can see what you are doing. Then he's like, no, I'm not doing anything. I'm just washing the dishes. I'm like, you know, I've been your age, so I know what these things you're pulling. Like, if I tell you do it, otherwise you still have to wash those dishes, no matter how you decide to wash them, you still have to wash them. So anyway,
Right.
it's the same thing. I think they just need to understand that, you know what, your feelings don't really matter to other people. What matters is that you need to do what needs to be done, you know, despite what you feel. And that's what will happen,
Right.
yeah, down the
Right.
line.
And you have to teach them and you have to show them that in life it's not just here. And because we are raising children in a society of instant gratification, this is half
Mm.
the problem. And they have to
Yeah.
realize that when you go in the real world, these are still issues that you're going to have to, you know, in stores, in restaurants, in your workplace. I mean, just go down the list, you know, and you're going to have to learn how to deal with those
Yeah.
situations, and being passive aggressive or aggressive is not going to do anything but cause you problems.
I think you've actually brought up a good point. That is of instant gratification. I think the same way most of us grew up, where we were given everything we wanted there and then. And it's the same thing. They don't really get the aspect, like now my son can just turn on the TV and watch what he wants to watch, whatever program is there. But us, you had to wait for your favorite cartoon to be like played on a Saturday. So you had to wait for Saturday morning or Sunday morning to actually watch. So you can imagine, even ourselves, we still struggle when it comes to instant gratification. Now, how much more will they be able to, you know, handle situations that demands that they wait for results?
Yep.
So yeah, so that's also something. And
No, I mean, exactly. Because, like, the other day, both the boys got upset because they're like, oh, these commercials, which were only like 30 seconds, you know, is two
uh,
15-second. I'm like, no, we had like 3 minutes of commercials. What are y'all
yeah,
complaining about? And like you were
yeah,
saying, we couldn't fast forward through commercials. We
yeah,
couldn't, we had to wait till the next week till it came on, the new episode.
yeah,
And like, they don't understand it. And frankly, they're both tired of me and my brother sitting there telling them when we were kids, because we've
yeah.
been doing that a lot. Y'all just don't get it.
Mm,
Like, you have this instant gratification of now, 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 now. But,
mm,
you know, you have to learn some patience. It's not that bad, you
true.
know, or they'll sit there and I'll see them in their rooms. Both of them can sit there and be on the computer or playing a video game and have their phone doing something else with another gaming thing over here. I'm like, what are y'all doing? That
Yeah,
is so much attention in so many places.
yeah, yeah. I think we may need to, like, you know, find situations that involves them actually waiting for something rather than instantly getting it. Um, like, so they get used to, like, you know, there are things that are worth it. Actually, you have to wait for them. I think it's important that that is introduced to them somehow.
Yeah.
Somehow, I don't know how, but small things like what?
Yeah. I mean, it's such a difficult thing because of the time that, again, that we live in, even with shopping, and at least here in the States, you know, we got Amazon, and I love me some Amazon. I mean, I've ordered stuff like, say, today, and can get it by 4 o'clock in the morning. I've ordered stuff on the same day and got
Mm,
it. I
yeah,
mean, it's really the time we live in. And so, you know, how do we as parents who did not grow up in that era, how do we also adjust
Yeah.
to that, right? And to that understanding, because it's only going to be more and more this way with computers and AI and stuff like
Mhm.
that. So, it's a scary world that we're living in, and what our children are having to deal with, and the way it's creating this
Now.
it's yeah, this now, which creates a lot of anxiety and a lot of depression,
Mhm.
as well, because the grass always looks greener on the other side. And we think of any of that on social media, everybody shows their highlight reel, nobody shows their behind the scenes of what's actually going on. And I just think as parents, we have to have those discussions with our children and go, not everything you see is reality. I mean,
True.
especially with the deep fake like AI now, it's getting
Mm.
even tougher to see what is actually real and what is not.
Yeah. Yeah, true. And I think I was just Googling some things that you can do to introduce your child to actually being patient about stuff. And another thing says like when they want something, don't buy it for them immediately. Introduce small exercises like saving money for something he wants. So it's like, hey, I want this. Okay, so how much can you save in a month? Or then do it. Then I think when they do it consistently, they show you like, oh, I've saved this much. And then you can be like, okay, I'll add the rest. I think that's something that can be introduced. And I know even me, like when my son wants something and I'm able to afford it, I want to do it for him as soon as possible.
Right, right.
Yeah, but I think this is a good thing, like, delay it. And then they say things like, ooh, meditation. Apparently, there's a time I used to meditate with my son. Every evening we would like sit for like 5 minutes, do nothing, just close our eyes, and he used to hate it. I think I need to start that again, because I stopped it, because at one point it was like, how is this really helping me? Like, why am I sitting here doing nothing? I don't see. I was like, it's going to help teach you patience and also listen to your thoughts. I think it's something I need to introduce back.
Well, and it helps ground you and to keep
Yeah,
you in the moment. So,
yeah,
because we can get so lost and
yeah,
this, that, and the other. But if we take a minute to meditate, when you're meditating and clearing your mind, then what are you focusing on? You're focusing on the smells around you, the
yeah.
sounds around you. You're being in the present, which is
Absolutely.
important because we're not doing that,
Yeah.
not just as children, but, as adults, we don't spend a lot of time in the present. We
Yes.
worried about what we said yesterday. We worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. And we forget about today. And then
Yeah.
before you know it, all this time has passed. You're like, what have I done with my life?
Yeah. And then another thing is to plan activities that naturally involve waiting. So like cooking together, growing a plant. So activities that naturally involve waiting. Okay.
My son and I have done that, growing plants. And when
Uh-huh.
he was little, when he was in school before he was homeschooled, they did this, were they just growing grass or something? It was
Uh-huh.
something for science. And so they had this little cup,
Mm,
and so he brought it home, and did a little bit of something in there, so we continued it. And I
mm,
was like, well, this is kind of just grass, let's go get some like wildflower mix
mm,
of seeds, and we planted them
yeah.
in there, so we had this little grassy cup of flowers and grass that we kept for a while.
Mm,
And so I'd make him go and water it and all
yeah.
that stuff. Yeah, that,
Yeah.
and then we got Venus flytraps, which were a
Uh-huh.
lot of fun.
Yeah,
So
I love that. I love that. And that's something. It's important. I think it's actually crucial to introduce children into these things, activities that involve waiting, because I see how a lot of people struggle when it comes to delaying gratification. And that's why you find someone cannot go without eating, like let's say for example, eating pizza every day, or if maybe they want to buy something, they quickly spend, the money they have saved, or they can't save the money because they want to gratify some sort of desire that they have. So I think this is
It's that dopamine hit.
yeah, this is
Yeah,
a good
everybody's looking for that dopamine high.
yeah,
And that's a lot of what it is, dopamine high.
yeah.
I want quick, instant gratification.
Re- Reminds
Yeah.
me of how good it feels to like go for shopping. Oh my God. And then you buy something new, like let's say clothes or shoes. Oh Lord, it feels so good. I'm thinking about that feeling right now. I'm feeling, oh God, feels so good, but then, yeah, but then there's also consequences of like impulsivity, like when you
Oh yeah.
do things impulsively. Yeah, so I think this is something I myself am actually good when it comes to like delaying gratification. But I think I've not actually thought about that past, like, teaching that to my son. I've not really thought about, maybe I've done it without unknowingly, but I've not intentionally.
Been
Um,
intentional about it. Yeah.
yeah, I've not been intentional about it. Like, how do we delay gratification? I've not. Yeah. So
My
yeah.
son is I'm pretty, as far as like getting things, my son has always been pretty good. He's never really asked for anything and so grateful. I remember years ago when he was little, his dad and I went, I think to Myrtle Beach just for like 2 days and came back. And I told him jokingly that I had gotten him something, and it was just some rocks that I found just to see what he'd do. And I gave it to him, and he was so excited about these rocks and was just like, thank you, Mom. And he was the sweetest, cutest little thing. I mean, we actually got him something, but I was so surprised by uh, this grateful attitude that he
Yeah.
had on it. And thankfully, he is still considerate to this day about
Mm,
things. And it can be hard because he
mm,
has everything he needs. And
yeah.
so there's not really anything that he wants for. But the instant gratification comes for him with results in doing things. So whether it's education, learning a new skill, these are the areas that he's super tough on himself and expect that gratification. I know you talk about it a lot with being consistent, and that you have to consistently do things and you will see the results. This
Yeah.
is where my son struggles with these things. He expects, uh, thinks he should be perfect or he should get it right away. And I think it is because he was so quick with a lot of things growing up,
Mm,
but it's not always going to be like that.
for
And we are
sure.
going to have our struggles in certain areas, and it's okay. It doesn't mean we're not going to get it. It just means we may take a little longer to get it. It will eventually will, you
Mm,
know.
yeah.
Um, so for him, that's where it really lies, is being not so hard on himself.
Yeah.
And I'm dumb. I'm a mom, what do I know? Because let me tell you, if you told him the same thing I told him, he'd be like, Cecilia said this and that, and it was so amazing. But the heck with what I just told him, which was the same thing, because I'm his mom. What do I
Yeah.
know?
Yeah, and we talked about this before. We said that it comes a point where children will not listen to us. I was even reading something between the ages of 14 to, is it 18 or 21, they will not be listening, like they won't be listening to you, but they will listen to those people around you. So the people you surround your children with actually really going to have an influence, a big influence. So it's important that you you surround them with people who reinforce the same beliefs that you
Right.
have. because that's what they'll actually pick up. I'm like, oh, this is it. Ah, it's crazy. Yeah, yeah. Anyway, so
Love them, the chaos and all.
yeah, I think yeah, chaos. I think I kind of mixed the two of the. So there's something else I saw, and that was how a child bonds with different parents depending on what age they are at. Apparently, from the age
Yes.
of 1 to like, is it 6? They are more, you know, they seek the mom out more, and then a certain age they seek out the dad, or a
Mhm.
father figure or a male figure. Yeah, so I think yeah, that was
Yeah.
something else I saw today. Yeah.
Yes, that's I can't think off a hand if that was Carl Jung or somebody talks about that, and I can't think offhand who it is.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, there's the different stages of where those bonds go and what the children need.
Yeah.
Don't get upset if your child doesn't mean they don't love you. They love you, but
Yeah.
it is
It-
natural for children to do that. Maslow. Thank you, Chris.
oh,
I was
they
like, could not think. Yeah, Maslow. Uh,
oh,
I was just like, my brain was going, and I was like, what, where is it? Where is it? Yeah,
yeah.
he goes into more detail about how it goes, why it goes, everything in between. Really good source to look up.
Okay. All right. Love that.
Mhm.
Yeah, so let's go to the questions asked by teenagers.
Ooh.
So one asks this, so funny. Hey, when does the health issues caused by eating nothing but chips and chocolate cake catch up with you?
I'd say right away, because that's all you're putting in your body, whether you realize it or not. You're going to have the effects. I mean, filling up on carbs and all these sweets is gonna you to feel more lethargic. Um, your sleeping schedule is gonna be off, especially chocolate at night. Chocolate has caffeine in it.
Yeah,
Um, you're gonna feel it. So you're gonna feel it, and then you're gonna see it.
yeah,
You know,
absolutely. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so there are different responses here from fellow teenagers. I think it's like,
Fellow teenagers.
yeah, someone is like early 30s for sure, but you have to get your shit together well before then. Then someone once told me at 50 you have the body you deserve. Then and then someone is like, the moment you're not in gym class anymore, that 30 minutes of exercise is a big deal.
It is. It is.
Now, in your 20s, it will start to show. In your 30s, you will start to feel it. In your 40s, your doctor will start to become concerned. So funny.
Those responses are awesome.
Yeah. Oh my God. They're funny. Yeah. Um, anyway.
Abs are made in the kitchen.
Yeah, it's true though.
Yeah.
It's
I mean, you are what you eat. So, you putting those things into your body, like I said, you're going to feel it because you're going to get these, like, especially sugars, you're going to get these sugar highs, and then you're going to crash really fast. You're not going to
yeah.
have anything long lasting. So, it's going to show up, eating a lot of salty food and stuff. You're going to be a lot more swollen, puffy. You have to take care of your teeth. And if you're not taking care of your teeth, eating all these sweets and all this stuff, it's going to
Mm,
show in your teeth. And then it does show in your body, because if you're taking on more calories than you're exerting energy for,
yeah.
it's going to come on.
Yeah.
So
I hear
yeah,
you.
I mean,
Eventually,
it may not be like, I don't know what their terms are, but 3 pounds heavier than you were is 3 pounds heavier. Well, all of a sudden, why did I get this way? Well, what do you eat?
yeah,
And it really does affect the mood and other things. And I don't know
yeah,
how anybody could eat just chips and chocolate all day. That sounds gross.
yeah. So I think they're starting to
Yeah.
get scared. Anyway, anyway. Okay, so there's a question here. So to the
We
adults,
work out, we have the membership, Chris.
why do
I
you
mean,
tell?
as long as you're working out, I mean, you do you, but I don't know.
We work out, we have the membership.
Right.
So anyway, why do you tell us adults? Why do you tell us to act your age, whilst also banning us from watching, reading, playing certain things because they are not suitable? Why do so many of you act condescending and all knowing whilst actually being every bit as lazy, arrogant, juvenile, and immature as us? Ah, yeah, 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 yeah.
Ugh. I mean, I can't speak for everybody. I do see um, where parents have been very hypocritical of
Yeah.
situations. And I do say not all parents are like that.
Mm,
Um, but yeah, because we said so. Uh, we've earned our stripes. So there's that. But at your age,
yeah.
so acting your age means not so much because you're watching things that people your age is when you're acting below that age, when
Yeah. Mm,
you're behaving in a manner that is not appropriate to your age.
mm,
Um, so like and because as a parent we are also trying to educate and show you like behaviors and actions that result in that. So as your
mm.
parents we are going to call you out because that is our job. So if
Yeah.
you're behaving in such, this is why, and also giving them that uh sorry, I was reading a comment and I got distracted. But as a parent, we sit there and we have to educate them and the different behaviors and what's acceptable and what's not acceptable behavior.
Yeah.
And so I would like to know what they think that adults do that are childish, because there is sometimes I act like a big kid, but
Yeah.
I still do my responsibilities. My bills are paid, my
Yeah.
house is taken care of, my
Mm,
child's taken care of,
mm,
the list goes on. So what
yeah.
does that mean?
I
I
think I
Go
would
ahead.
think I would think he probably is with hypocritical adults. And these are people who say don't do this and they're doing that particular thing which they say don't do. Um, and also, also the fact that he's saying you are every bit as lazy, arrogant, and juvenile and immature as us. Obviously, he's referring to the adults in his culture, in his surrounding, the ones that surround him. So
In his
that's who he's
community and
referring
his
to.
life
Yeah, the ones in his life, they're lazy. So I'm assuming here this is someone who probably sits all day watching television or scrolling their phone, and then you're telling someone, why
don't
are
do
you
that.
why are you doing that? Don't do that.
Yeah.
But then you're also doing it. I think it's important to know that teenagers are not children, to be honest. They're actually people who see and observe things. And one of the things we always say this is this: don't tell your child to do something that you yourself are not doing, because
Right.
you are
Right.
just being hypocritical. And you are
And
telling
knowing that children follow your
what you
actions
do.
more than they do your words. So, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm thinking that. Wait, what culture? I wouldn't know. This is Reddit, and on Reddit, even the name does not betray the culture. But I'm just thinking, yeah, it's obviously not African because I would know based on the language. Anyway, why do adults refuse to admit when a teenager is correct?
Now, I think that's a problem because I just had to eat words today with my kid, you
Yeah,
know, and so when, my son had came to me, and the moment he came to me, I was not all there, like focused. I was doing something else. And so I argued with him a point, and then after I got doing what I was doing, I refocused, looked, I was like, I was wrong. Yes, I wasn't thinking about what he said. So I had to go and apologize and go, you know what, you're correct.
yeah.
I was not thinking um, about what you were asking.
Mm,
So I had to
mm,
go do that today.
uh,
What happened? Uh-oh. You still there? Okay, is it me or is Cecilia? Okay, she paused. Okay. So we're still here. Something's going on with Cecilia. Wonder what happened. Well, maybe, but she would have been back, I think, by now. Like her screen just went like all dark, really weird. Ay, ay, ay. Hopefully she'll come back soon. I know, how weird. You always have to be a Jedi Knight. I was not
hey.
on my game if you're talking about that. What happened?
Electricity went, but then we are now on generator. I don't know what happened. But we've been told today, like, okay, today we had like plenty of times when the electricity just went. So yeah, it blinked.
I
Sorry.
was like, all I saw was like just this black screen, and I was like,
Yeah.
hello?
Yeah.
Is anybody else still here with me? Thankfully, Chris was. I was like, are we still live?
Sorry, sorry.
No need to apologize. You don't have control over that.
Yeah, Chris says, what works in America doesn't work in Africa. I don't understand, to be honest. What are you saying? Give me an example. Example. Let me see if I'm able to. Okay. Yeah. Anyway, so we've already talked about why adults refuse to admit when a teenager is correct, right?
Chips and fries. What about chips and fries? Is what we different call them? Chips and fries?
Oh yeah, we call chips, yeah. But sometimes we call them fries, whichever. Depends on where you are.
Yeah,
Okay.
today, because I think you and I talked about this with shirts or something not too long ago. But yeah, like chips are like in a bag. They're chips. Fries are like French fries, separate. But I know also like in British, like over there, their
Yeah.
fries are called chips.
Yeah,
So
and yeah, chips because the Brits are the ones who colonized us, so we use the British English. By the way, it's war between British English, American English. which I really don't care about because it's the language of the colonizers. Now, moving forward, why do you make your life sound so depressing? For example, wait until you get to the real world and shit like that. I mean, if you hate your life, keep that shit to yourself. Don't bring the rest of us down. Be happy. I mean, at least you are not in some shithole, some shithole third world country.
What?
And
Oh my
then
God.
proceed to
That
say,
was definitely an American writing. That is
yeah.
horrible.
Also, for those in
Horrible.
your 40s or 50s, gosh, does
They're
your
brutal.
ding 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 still work? I've always wondered. Oh my god, that's so funny! I swear. Oh my god, this is a teenager.
Woo. Now, it's not that our life is boring or that we don't like it, but the reality is mommy and daddy are not going to bail your ass out when you turn 18. There are laws and things that you have to come by and that you have to deal with. And we're prepping you for the real world. And the real world is real. It's not unicorns and butterflies all the time. We're not going to be all happy go lucky all the time. That's not natural.
Yeah,
But when you live in with parents, there's a lot of protection and you are more in a bubble because you're protected because you're underage. And when you become of
yeah,
age, you have a lot more responsibility, taxes, rules, and laws that you have to follow no matter where you live. And
yeah,
I'm offended by the third world country thing. And this is where I think it's an American very spoiled because you know what? It doesn't matter how much money you have. Money, we've talked a little bit about this. Money does help, but it's what you surround yourself with. Money doesn't buy happiness, right? But
yeah,
because if you don't love yourself, you don't love yourself. No amount of money is going to make you love yourself anymore. So that starts within here. You can be in a third world country and still be happy and healthy and everything else. Okay.
yeah,
Now, if you want to talk about, okay, living in poverty versus, not being in poverty, those are like apples and oranges. I mean, why are you throwing that in the basket when we were just talking about apples? Right.
So yeah, I think I'd give it to this person, to him though. He says, "Why do you make your life sound so depressing?" You see, most of us actually very negative, and I would understand where they're coming from. We keep selling fear, like wait till you get to the real world, wait, till you turn 18 and you will know. But why not be like, it's going to the real world is actually really amazing. Okay, which is a lie, to be honest, it's not. But yeah, there's a bit of realism and also a bit of positive, be positive about how they are going to face the real world. And I mean, he's actually making sense. Even though he went on, he went
Or
on
on
a
cat, you went, woo.
yeah, yeah, but he makes sense, and so, something we need to to keep in mind. Like, let's not
Yes.
be overly negative when it comes to speaking to our children. Like, let's also speak positively about life so they can look forward to what's coming rather than being scared, and also passing down our fears to them, our limiting beliefs to them. So you end up with an adult who's actually as scared as you were, growing up. So I think this is almost like a wake up call. um,
Yeah. I mean, but hey, positives. I have my own money. I don't have to ask my mommy to buy stuff. That's what you have to look forward to. But along with that comes paying
yeah,
for bills and
it's,
buying groceries and doing the adulting stuff like I had to do the other week when I had to replace that windshield. That was
for
over
sure.
$1,000.
Yeah.
That
So yeah,
that that sucked the big one.
Yeah, there's negatives and also there's positives.
Absolutely. I can
Yeah,
stay up as late as I want to. I can go where I want. I can do what I want. There's a lot of positives.
yeah, you can do what you want, but sometimes not really. But anyway, so
Well, I mean, there's limits. You have to live within your means. We're not going to
yeah,
live
yeah,
above our means. So there is that. I'm not saying we
yeah,
should all go just buy stuff and be responsible. No. I
yeah,
think what it comes down to is that there are more responsibilities as an adult. But yes, don't forget to mention all the other good things that do come with it.
yeah. So Chris says here mine is operational and accounted for. Then Jerry, hey everyone. Hi Jerry. Yeah, true Chris. Most people are actually not happy. And yeah, let me look at the responses to this post. Ding 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 still works, but less people are hiring. um, and then Lord. Okay, so yeah, someone says sometimes adults forget how hard it was to be a teenager. They start to golden age the time they can barely remember, just touching on the highlights, or they want to warn you about an upcoming disillusionment. Being an adult is actually really, really hard and a lot less liberating than you think it will be. There is so much you can't change, so many freedoms you lose when you have to be responsible for yourself in a way teens just aren't. Your brain is also fully developed, so you start to assess risks realistically, and it's just less fun.
I don't know.
Yeah,
I like to think I have fun in my life. I mean, I don't
yeah,
know what they're talking about. I've been through trials and tribulations and, a lot in the last couple of years since my husband passed away. But I like to say that I'm surrounded by good people in my life and that life is good. Like when I go see my best friend, I mean, we act like schoolgirls. We've been friends for over 20 years. And it's like, I can't wait to go see you. Oh my God, we're going to go do this and we're going to do that. And I mean, we're a bunch of like little kids. And I
yeah,
don't know what this person's talking about, but I have fun. I mean,
yeah.
there's times to be serious, absolutely. And I'm serious when I need to be. The rest of the time, I'm totally not serious. I'm playing video games with my son, who's teaching me how to play first person shooter games, which Mom, you have to straight, you have to go back and forth so you don't stay still when you're getting ready to do this and that. And I'm like, oh my God. And
Yeah,
so we have fun doing that. And listen to music and doing my
it's
art
that.
stuff. Like,
Yeah,
got
I,
stuff and my art stuff. See, been arting on stuff.
yeah. You finished
So,
this painting.
oh no, it's not finished.
Thanks, Gladys.
No.
Gladys, thank you. Welcome. Okay. So not yet.
Yeah,
So
no, that's that I'm still working on. It's so big that I have to wait for certain areas to get dry to go to other areas, blah blah, yada yada. And then you've got to, like, I've been reworking stuff and been trying out other things because watercolor is not forgivable, really. And so there's a lot more planning that goes with it, and which I love. But
okay. Yeah, and
anyways,
yeah, that's having fun for you. I think as we grow older, it's important to remember not to forget to play.
yeah,
And there's this book, I forget the name of the book, and it teaches. We were given this book by when I was working in my 9 to 5. We were given this book by our CEO, and it lists one of the things that makes someone productive is someone who actually looks for ways to play every single day. What are you doing to bring fun into your life? And bringing
yeah,
this fun also boosts, the happy hormones, because stress is unavoidable. You cannot say I want a stress-free life. That is crazy. It's not possible, because you'll say, oh,
right,
I want a stress-free life. You'll get out the door and someone will probably splash water on you as they drive by. You'll get to the office and a colleague will say something that will piss you off, or you get an email and you're like, shit. So you cannot avoid stress. what you can do is to balance, the stressful hormone that is being released as
Cortisol.
cortisol as you are stressed. Balance it with now is oxytocin. Do stuff that we release this happy hormone, so that when this happy hormones is released, it actually neutralizes the cortisol that is already being released in your body. And yeah, look for ways to play every day. And I remember working in my 9 to 5, there were quite a number of people who are very depressing or depressive, right? People are just depressed, people are just mad. They just sat at their desk. I worked in marketing, and marketing was the fun place. I think marketing was mostly fun because I was in marketing, because I was there. But we had, and my boss was actually a fun lady. She's amazing, and we're still friends until now. You'll meet her, by the way. So she advocated for fun. When we go to the departmental meetings, she's like, oh, let's do something fun. Let's put someone on the hot seat. And we did fun stuff. So the department was known as the Department of Fun. Like people came to work and they worked, but they still had fun while doing
Yeah.
work. When you look at the guys in accounts, they're like, they're just angry. We tried to spread the fun through, events, doing TikTok
They
videos.
rejected your fun. Fun rejectors.
Yeah,
We
then
have
some
no
people,
place for you, fun rejectors.
yeah, some people would actually reject fun. So I can imagine in real life how these people live their life, or in their homes, how they are. I mean, that's someone I would not want to be around. I think even when you're marrying, you need to also think about the person you get married to, because if you are not someone who's like lively and fun, and then you get married to someone else who's like lively and fun, oh my god, both of you just boring. There has to be someone in that house who's crazy a bit.
But
Who,
maybe boring plus boring likes boring. I mean, maybe that works for them.
that would
Not for
that would
me.
start
I
for
want
the
somebody to have
children.
fun with and to be
Yeah.
silly with. And yeah, like I can
No,
be serious, like I said, when I need to be, and we all
I
have our moments, as long as they're not all the
yeah,
time.
yeah, it's true,
And
it's
what you were
true.
saying, about, go walking out your door, water gets splashed on you and this and that, yeah, you can't live stress free. It's not realistic.
Yeah.
Um, but learning to be flexible and adaptable, that is
Mm-hmm.
what it's about. So learning
Absolutely.
how to roll with the punches that come along in life and go with it, just like you plan this vacation. And so it ends up raining every day. So you're not going to go, you're not going to have fun. Screw you. I'm still not working at work. I'm out here in someplace new. I'm going to have fun and I'm going to make good of it, whatever it is,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's the same thing with life. Nothing is going to go exactly as planned all the time. Have to learn to
Yeah.
be flexible and adaptable in life. And you have to learn to laugh at yourself and get over, some of those stuffs. If you stumble and fall, it,
Yeah.
laugh a little bit, let your hair down and laugh. It's
Mhm.
okay. Trying to teach my 13-year-old that
Especially
to
if you
let
have
his hair down. Yeah.
especially if you have children. So Chris says, yeah, every day is fun and a new adventure for me. Must be nice, Chris. I'm Gucci every day. Yes, absolutely. Have to have fun spacesuit. I'm going to the moon this afternoon type of fun. Going to the moon type of fun. That's interesting. Love that. The other thing that you mentioned is like, I do not trust myself around someone who's probably like me in terms of playfulness, because I can get too playful and we might just, end up making some really bad decisions. So I like someone who puts me to, chill. So I
Can
know,
kind of bring you down a little bit, like
yeah, yeah,
bring you down to
yeah,
earth a
yeah,
little bit. That was my husband, my late husband. He would
yeah,
kind of bring me here, and I would
yeah.
kind of take him up because I do things because he get, sometimes he could just get in these moods where he was just. I used to joke and tell him like, "You're just being upset because you like to be upset." And then no, I'm not. And I'm like, you are. So I do absolutely stupid stuff. And he's like, oh, you're so stupid, you know? And he'd like laugh. I'm like, why are you trying to hold back your laughter? Just laugh and let it out, you
Yeah.
know? Move on, let's go.
Yeah.
And so you know, as I knew how to help him through that, you know, there's times, you know, if I got down or whatever, he knew how to bring the best out of me as well. And I think that's what a partnership is about.
Yeah. Yeah. Chris
And
is
then
more of
being
like,
with your children, knowing your children too, and helping your
yeah,
children navigate those areas.
true. Chris is more of like fun, fun, fun. No, tear the shop up. Oof. Okay.
No breaks.
Yeah, yeah, no breaks. Okay, so and then it's so anyway, someone is like, this is I hate using wait till you get older, you're in the real world. But a lot of the gripes, what is gripes? What a lot of the gripes you have as a teenager, you honestly will be kind of embarrassed or laughing about when you're older. As an honest person, I can't very well be like, yeah, this is the worst thing this is the worst thing that is ever going to happen to you. Such a shame, literally the worst, because it probably won't be the worst for you in another decade. You probably won't even remember it. I'll usually agree that the situation is shitty, but if it's like day 10 of you non-stop complaining about something that is honestly quite trivial and expecting constant validation, it gets very old. I think he's talking about he's an adult responding to this teenager, and he's talking about how himself, like when he's talking about how life can be difficult, how life can be hard in the real world. He doesn't go about it throughout, like he just mentions it, but he doesn't keep complaining about it. Plus, again, I think he's also trying to say that the things that teenagers do while they're teenagers, as now they live that teenagehood 10 years in a decade, it's actually something they look back and laugh at, so it's not to be taken too seriously. Yeah,
Well,
like
I mean,
most
what
of us.
even me as an adult, what I find important today may not be important tomorrow. You know, so going from a teenager and what was important, that was very important, whatever we were fighting for at that time, because that's where we were at in life. And then, you know, as you grow, you know, your values and morals and what you value as important changes, you
Yeah,
know?
yeah,
So having to realize that, because that's the one thing that you can be promised in life is that change is constant. So who I am today is not who I'm going to be even in 5 minutes or 10 minutes from now. So there's that change, but it is okay to look back and think, oh, that was silly. But at that time, don't discount that that was something that was important
yeah.
for you, important enough for you to do whatever it was you needed to do at that time. There was a comment in here, I think Ryan, I don't know if I'm saying that right. Oops. Said, hello, what if you're a loner and don't have friends now? Can you have fun? Absolutely. I have fun all the time. And I laugh at my own jokes when nobody else is around. I mean, it depends on what you find fun or, you know, what you're looking at. I find doing my artwork fun.
Mm,
Um, Singing and dancing fun. So there's a lot of things I do that I don't need anybody to have fun doing.
yeah.
So you have to find that thing for you and what makes you happy and have fun and do that.
I'm curious though, why don't you have friends? But ultimately, it all starts with you. If you're not a fun person or someone who's doing fun things themselves, then people will not want to be associated be associated with you. And this is the thing. I saw a video. It's actually very important. It speaks to psychology of humans, and the video was like a person dancing alone. They were dancing alone. In There are people behind, they were sitting down, but he's This person is just dancing alone, vibing. And then someone joins this person, then a whole group, no, it's now a whole group of people, dancing. And the same thing, I think, with life. When you have fun and you decide, I'm going to have fun on my own, I don't care what other people think. I think I'm crazy, blah, blah, but you start having fun on your own. Do activities that you actually love. Could be painting, could be playing the guitar, could be dancing, whatever it is. Do it, have fun. You'll start attracting people who also would want to do the same with you. So yeah, but I'm curious why you don't have friends.
Well,
Uh,
they didn't say they didn't have friends. They just said that they were a loner. So it sounds like this person, and I might be speaking out of turn, they can come and correct me. But, some people I think tend to be more like in the background, like time to themselves, and maybe they're trying to evaluate, well, what does, and I think they need to evaluate for themselves, what does fun mean? What is fun to me? What do I need to do? Because there's fun that I have that I don't need anybody. There's fun that I have with my friends. There's fun that I have with my son and my
yeah.
family. So what does that mean to you in your different situations?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. They say they are alone. I hear. Yeah. I think it's to define what fun means to you, so that you don't let other people define what fun is. Like, people say, "Oh, drinking alcohol, going out to clubs, that's fun." Um, no, that's not fun. Maybe to someone else, but not to me. But what is fun? What would you consider as fun? But then the other thing again is, when you say what is fun to me, you have to try things to see if they are fun. I don't know. This is what I think. Or what do you think? Because yeah, I cannot say you need to define what fun is to you. But then, have you tried it to see if it's fun? So I think it's about also trying different things, see what sticks. Yeah. Chris says we should teach an early class called What to Expect. Time is not refundable, and beware where you spend and how much. Well, that's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah, because
Um,
if you're spending all your time in the past, you're not living in the present and you're foregoing your future.
mm, yeah. Uh, so Ryan says, I don't have family too, but I try sometimes to go out. So I'm literally all alone. Fun is what you make.
So, is it really, would you define yourself as a loner or maybe shy? I mean, because those are kind of two different things. There are times in my life, in my day where I just want to be by myself and I am perfectly fine with that. And there's other times that I prefer to be with other people, and
Yeah.
that's also okay. And, if fun is what you want to have, then getting outside your comfort zone to try and do new things, whether it's by yourself or like you said, you've tried to go out and do things and meet people. So that's getting out of the comfort zone to do that. And it can be tiring, but we have to fail to learn to be able to move forward to find out what is good for us,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know?
This one.
Yeah.
Um,
I'm shy
thanks.
too, and I stay indoors a lot, tend to push friends away. So, what is it you say you tend to push friends away? Um, what makes you say that? And how do you know you're pushing friends away?
Yeah. Uh, you see, I saw this quote that said that there's a lot of opportunities that we miss because we were shy. And most people don't want to admit they're shy, and they say, "Oh, I'm an introvert," or "I'm a loner." But most of the time
Nothing
is
wrong with any of that.
yeah, and most of the time is because of being shy, like scared of what other people would think, what people
Mm.
would say, second guessing yourself, which is almost always not your fault, just how you were brought up. And again, this reminds me of a story a friend of mine told me. She Growing up, she had a nanny, and this nanny would beat her up. Like, she would actually beat her up. And so she used to be really scared when the parents go to work, when her parents go to work, they would beat, like, absolutely beat her up. So every time she'd be so scared. So one day, the dad told the mom, why is it that when you want to leave, she's always so scared? There has to be something that's happening. So the dad pretended to leave, right? And came back and then found the nanny beating up the child. And she says that she's struggled a lot with second guessing herself, and it's because of that fear that was instilled in her from what happened in her childhood. So some of these things that we go through are things that they just instill in us between the ages of 1 to 7, where we have no control. We living, the subconscious brain is being fed things from our parents, whoever is around us.
So, I
Yes.
mean, it sounds like some unresolved childhood trauma. And if there's unresolved childhood trauma, those are issues that need to be addressed. And sometimes getting into therapy to have somebody a professional walk alongside you in that journey to help give you the tools for your toolbox so you can be the best version of yourself that you can be, right? Therapists are not there to be in your life forever. They're just there in your life for a moment to help guide you and to give you the tools that you need to maneuver through whatever it is that you're going through. And
So,
unresolved childhood trauma can, like you were talking about, can result in how these long lasting effects into adulthood and recognizing those.
so there says, Ryan, there is times I start cutting people off, even small things, and then I'm all alone and regret it.
Honestly, you haven't found your people yet. um, because not everybody, I mean, people who are truly there for you are going to sit there and be with you and talk with you and understand your quirks. I am thankful for my very best friend. There's two particular people, and the three of us were really good friends for over 20 years. And, I've grown a lot in that time. And there are things that recently I've gone back and said, I'm so grateful for you guys that you have stuck with me through this time, because there were moments in our friendship that I could have done a lot better, and I was not a very good person. And I thank you for your patience and staying with me during this time. So, Ryan, it's finding your people and who your tribe is. And once you find that tribe's going to stick with you no matter what. And they're going to walk with you through this journey. And, your friends will even call you out on some of this stuff. And that's where we have to have our ears on and listen and go, okay, well, why am I cutting people off? Why am I doing that? Is there maybe some unresolved childhood trauma that's going on, or a diagnosis that's been missed and not there? But I mean, without knowing everything, uh, you just haven't found your people yet. Don't give up. Your people are out there.
And it's important that you take time, right, to just ask yourself the question. I think it's so important, because what you are saying is actually what's going on. Sometimes we know what's going on with ourselves, we just don't know how to proceed. I know this is happening, but I don't know what to do to move forward. So yeah, you say that, ask yourself why. Why do I cut people off, even for small things? And obviously, after you regret doing something, it's important to go back to the person and tell them, what I did was shitty. I'm trying to work on this. I would love for you to still continue being my friend, and leave that to you. So start asking yourself, and also when you're asking yourself these questions, speak from a point of curiosity. Do not judge yourself too harshly. Again, I've
Yeah.
told you some of these things are not your fault. They're not really your fault. So don't be too harsh on yourself. Give yourself the grace. Yeah, this is happening. Why is it happening? I would advise you start journaling because you'll
Yeah,
now
I was just gonna say that. Like, write it down exactly. You're right there, Cecilia.
start
Write it
writing,
down.
write
Like,
it down.
when it happens, who you're talking to, what the conversation was. It's, you don't have to write complete sentences, but writing it down, you might start to see a pattern of
Mm-hmm.
what is going on. So I can relate in ways because I am undiagnosed ADD. So
Mm-hmm.
I tend to, when I have conversations with people, chime in with my own stories all the time. And it's not because I'm trying to make it about me. It's because by sharing my story, I'm relating to the person I'm talking to. And a lot
Yeah.
of people can misconstrue that in a way that I'm trying to make it about me, and it's not. And having to watch out for interrupting and stuff like that are issues that I have to work on all the time in my life, and to be aware of what I'm doing.
Yeah, yeah.
But yes, to say what I like what you're saying.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, there's so much going on. Even I myself have to journal some of these thoughts that I have or some of these things that happen so that I can find patterns. And these patterns most of the time come from, stems from what happened to me when I was a child, as or I was growing up. Some things my parents did or, my teachers read, which actually might not be true. And you say here, you're now thinking of my childhood, it could be coming from it as well. Also, I need to find the right people in my life. Yes. And for you to find the right people, you have to go through the process,
Yes.
of finding why this is happening, because you also don't want to end up finding like really nice people and then you push them away. You want to prepare
Or
yourself
and
for.
or on the other side, just accepting people because they're the ones willing to stick around, and that
Ooh,
doesn't mean that they're always good for you. So
ooh,
don't be willing to just accept somebody because they're there because they might be toxic.
yeah.
So be cognizant of that as well. And I give so much to people and I expect the same. When it don't happen, I get disappointed. A lot of people do this, and I speak about this when I was working as a mental health therapist. Don't expect you out of other people. It's not fair to them, and it's not fair to you, because you're putting them on a pedestal they can never live up to, and then you're setting yourself up for disappointment in it. So being that you already see that, this is one of those things that I would say, be cognizant of it and recognize that when you're doing that and going, if I'm doing this with my whole heart, and because this is who I am, and I don't expect anything out of return, because this also creates codependency when you're doing this, when you're expecting and not getting. And through communication, you're going to help clarify misunderstandings as well. And it's okay to say, hey, you said this, and I'm not sure how to react to that or what was going on. Can you please explain to me? We have to communicate.
Sorry, I was talking to my son. There's something that came to mind, which I've actually it went. I should have written it down. I give so much to people, and there's something you said, which is like you expecting you from other people is actually
Yes.
going to be disappointment, which is absolutely true. When you do something, do it because you want to do it. And something else that I always lean to is this: when you help other people get what they want, you will get what you want. When you help other people get what they want, you will eventually get what you want. So, like, don't do something expecting someone else to do the same for you. Of course, relationships have to be, there has to be like an intricate, like it's like a dance, give and
Yeah.
take, give and take, give and take. But also you need to be aware of times where you are giving, giving, giving and not getting anything back. So then it means, oh, I ain't doing this anymore. But every time you are
Right.
giving, make sure you're giving because it's who you are, it's what you want to do, and at the end of the day, someday it will reap benefits, not from this person, probably from someone else or from the universe. Sorry.
You muted yourself.
Sorry, Kim. Continue. I'm talking to my son before he goes to sleep.
So, gotta warn a girl. So yeah, I mean, I see her mouth moving, but I don't hear her, so that's why I was thrown off. Yeah, having don't expect and don't do what from others. A prime example, and I would talk about this in my codependency um, groups, is if somebody comes and asks you for money, don't, and then you go and see them. They say, Kim, I need money. Can I borrow money? Blah, 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 blah. I've got this to pay and that to pay, and I'm just running short. And then you see them, at the local fast food restaurant buying stuff and then buying liquor. You can't go back and go, hey, I gave you that money because you said you needed it for A, B, and C. Listen, if you're loaning money to anybody, one, you only do it if you have the money to give. Two, you're only doing it because you're not expecting it back. But three, when we do these things, we don't have control once we give them the money, right? And that's the
Yeah,
same thing with advice and other things in this world. You give them the money or give them the advice. What they do with it is what they're doing with it. Even if they
yeah,
said they're going to do this or that. So maybe later and you decide this same person comes back, you go, last time they did not do it on what they said. So I'm going to step my boundary and say no. And you don't have to give a reason why you say no. This is how we keep those toxic people out of our life. It helps keep us from leaning on these codependency feelings and patterns in our life. So only you know what your boundaries are and what you're willing to accept and not to accept, but
yeah.
never expect you out of somebody else. Just because you did something doesn't mean that you're to get that in return, and do it because you're not expecting something back, but because it is who you are and you have the time and you have the freedom to do it.
Mm,
Listen
okay.
to what they say first. Remember what they say and believe a person. They will tell you, yes. Person will always tell you. Will
Yeah.
always tell you. Stop it, Chris. Damn right. He's in here. Get out of here, Chris.
This is here. We have.
He's
Uh,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot. And you know what, Ryan? You're not the only person. We all have things in our life, in our situations, in our relationships that we need to work on. So you're not alone in this. We all have uh, to figure out our paths and decide what we're going to have in our life, what our boundaries are, and, you know, understanding what toxic relationships are. And if I'm accepting these other people back into my life that I
Yeah.
once got rid of.
Yeah. What? Sorry.
But if we're
Sorry.
expecting these people, having these toxic people,
Sorry. At one point, you went.
why
One point you went. I don't know where you went.
why is this? I
But
have something
now,
else coming in on mine.
now it's fine. Now we can hear you.
I'm not. I have something else. Hold on. Invite me back. I have something else coming in.
Oh, okay. All
I'm
right.
gonna leave. Invite me right back.
Okie dokie. Sorry,
How do I
guys.
get out of here? Oh my God.
Hey, I'm bad. Anyway, yeah, never rush, just chill and it will come for sure. Like, yeah, there's no rush when it comes to forming, building relationships. Take your time. Take your time so you're able to build relationships with people who actually
That
appreciate
was
you.
so weird. That was so weird. I had something else on TikTok coming through on my sound.
That's weird.
I know. I was like, I cannot. I mean, I could hear you, but I hear this other thing going in my ear. I was like, oh my God, I gotta disconnect. I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Sorry about that,
Okay.
guys.
Okay, it happens.
I don't
Yeah,
even know where we are.
so I have a question here from another
Uh-huh.
teenager. Why did a few of you decide to put in place a system where us teens decide our whole lives at 18 when 90% of us are at our stupidest, most idiotic time?
Well,
So this one is not ready to live, to become an adult. It's like, I need more time. Why did you guys decide 18 is the number? But even me, I'm curious. When did
wait,
18?
Chris wants you to repeat it. Can you read that again?
Why did a few of you decide to put in place a system where us teenagers decide our whole lives at 18 when 90% of us are at our stupidest and most idiotic time? So asking why we decided 18 is the time where they make decisions, like when they're actually not ready.
Okay, well, if we're going to do a little history lesson, okay, back in the day, I think we were more mature from a younger age because there was life was a bit more harsh. Uh, and you had to take on a lot more responsibility back in the day when these laws were made. And they've
Mm-hmm.
kind of fluctuated back and forth through time. Because I think there was at one time here you could drink at 18, and then they switched it back to 21 in the United States. I know there's other countries you're 18 when you can do it. But the laws have been around for a long time, and maturity was a lot different. And unfortunately, I think some of the immaturity today comes from that instant gratification we were talking about earlier.
True, true.
There's not as much expected out of children today as it was back in the day. Right, Chris? I was buying cigarettes. There was a time you could go to the store with a note from your mom to go buy them cigarettes. Yes, I remember that.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think people are becoming more immature as the years go by.
yeah,
Back then, they're actually really mature, right? And then you find like people having children at 19, 18, 20, they're getting married. It's like someone is 20 and the way they speak, you're like, I mean, you have a long, long way to go.
yeah.
Um,
So I think that's the biggest difference. These laws have been in place for a while, and
yeah.
then where we are again goes back to this instant gratification. There's not as much expected out of our youth as there once was.
Mm,
Personally, me growing up,
yeah.
two parents working. So as kids, we were latchkey kids. We were left on our own. We had to grow up. We had to be mature. There's a lot expected out of us. And today it's not like that.
Yeah, the
So, I mean,
responsibility.
I was 10 years old and I was babysitting a 1 year old and an infant at 10 years old. I was doing that.
Yeah, it happens. It
I would
happens.
not let my 10-year-old do that because he was not definitely mature enough, you
Yeah,
know?
so I think maturity comes from giving responsibility. So I think it's important to start giving the children responsibilities so that they don't get to 18 and because at 18 now they start making decisions. So they don't make decisions that actually fuck them up or something. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, and it's, and that's perfect because, like my son and my nephew, they have chores and they have things that are expected out of them. And it's
Mm,
nothing crazy. It's like, we're a family. And so as a family, we have to keep this house clean. So,
yeah.
the dishes and the trash, that's on them because then we're cooking the meals and, taking care of their animals. You guys wanted these animals, they're your responsibility to take care of them. Like
Yeah.
for my son, the cats, I'll buy the food and everything, but you need to take care of them. And,
Yeah.
and this comes back to like my best friend, she talks about, because even when we go over there and visit, my son still does things. He still rinses his plates off. He still puts things away, even though it's not his house. And she's like, I wish my kids were like that. And I'm like, girl, you can still do this, because we started at a
Yeah.
young age taking responsibility. And this is a working unit. This is a family unit. And together we work to
Yeah.
keep the house neat. We're at the point of where my son is just about doing his own laundry now. He cleans the
Yeah.
bathroom upstairs and he vacuums and sweeps, and does this every week. And she's still like, well, and she's very much overworked. And it's also having a good partner too helps
Mm.
out. But this thing, like you speak about, Cecilia, being consistent. They're going to get pushback because if you've not established these boundaries or set these rules up with your children, you're going to get pushed back. And that's where you have to stay consistent to keep going. And yes, it's going to be a little extra work. It's going to be a little bit more tiring, but it
Yeah.
can be done
Yeah.
because as they get older, it's going to be a lot tougher on what they're doing and not doing. And
Yeah,
it
true.
helps them to take pride in their environment and their belongings.
Yeah, absolutely. Chris says, yeah, I was cooking at 7. My son makes his breakfast. The society has put some expectation too, especially to making it we all want to be rich now fast. Yeah, I mean, right now, just do the opposite of what society is prescribing. Because everything people are saying, oh, overnight success actually requires a lot of work. When
Yeah,
you look
because if
at,
it's that easy, we all be millionaires.
I know if you look
Okay,
at,
right?
oh, absolutely, absolutely. If you look at all the successful people, they had to they put in the work, like they
Lots
work
of work.
so hard. So I think it's important that you decide what is it you want, and do it for the long run. Like start thinking in decades, not in 1 year. I want to have made this. No, start thinking in decade. All this overnight
Yeah,
success are highlight, as Kim said, highlight reels of people's lives. You don't know what's happening in the background. You don't know what they had to
yeah,
go through. You even don't know, like right now, if someone is showing their nice car or their trip to Dubai. I mean, you don't know how much they've worked out to be there, or you don't know how much their parents had to work their asses off to give them that life.
right.
You don't know. So it's important to just focus on yourself, focus on your journey,
Yes,
and be consistent and start thinking in decades. It's not going to happen next year. It's going to probably, if you are going to make some significant change in your life, it will be 10 years from now.
right.
Yeah. So in agrarian life, children get chickens and got cows. They have to take care of them, and that is money for sure.
Now,
Um,
here we have, I know in schools they have like 4-H um, that they do, and I think it's a great program where kids actually have some different type of farm animal depending on what you're into, pigs, cows, so on, that they raise and they clean, they take care of, they show them, and they sell them.
wow.
So, and yeah, that money goes toward their next buy of doing their next animal. And that really is a good program, teaches a lot of responsibility uh, for the children growing up.
Yeah, they have to take care of something, responsibility. Homeschooling, catches some of that. Hello, Job. Um, yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're homeschooling, it's actually really nice. I think right now, if I'm thinking like homeschooling, it actually means it's so nice if you have like a farm or like, I don't know, a ranch, as you call it in Texas, where you can just have animals and then you have your children going to
I
milk
think the
the
difference between a
goats,
ranch and a
cows.
farm is smaller, a ranch is bigger.
Oh, yeah.
My
Okay.
brother may
Okay.
correct me on that.
Okay. All right. Okay. So yeah, and then you have children. You tell them those 3 goats are yours. So every morning you'll be milking them. Go collect some eggs. Go wash. I mean, I feel like a farm has a lot more work as compared to like living in an apartment.
Oh yeah.
Because there now you there is a bit. It's more intense. It reminds me growing up because my life between the ages of, I think, I don't remember myself at 1, I remember myself when I was like 8. We lived in the village, so I remember going to the river to get some water, and take the water to grandma at that point. No, we had stuff to do. We I remember picking up beans, beans, and then removing them from the pods.
Mhm.
Um, so I
I
think,
love doing that.
sorry.
I love to do that.
Oh
We
Lord.
had a small farm growing up, and so my brother and I got to go out and pick stuff from the garden, and we used to do that with my mom, and then we had to go feed the stupid chickens. I only say the stupid chickens to collect their eggs because we had that mean rooster I think I've told you about. And
Mm.
so I always used to make my brother go in there and do that. That rooster was mean as hell. Mean. We ate him for dinner one night because we
Really?
were done. Isn't
Yeah.
that horrible? That's horrible. He was a mean SOB, I'm telling you.
Thank you, Ginimbi.
And then
Yeah.
also we had two cows, and my brother's the one who had to go over the fence to go feed them.
Yeah.
I wouldn't go in there. He's a lot braver than I was. I was like, nope, not going in there.
It was the best chicken
Yes, the
ever.
best chicken ever. Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And those eggs were the best too. I remember getting those homemade. I don't even know what the
Uh,
hell I'm talking about. I remember getting those eggs, and it was always cool. We got like a double yolk in one of them.
yeah.
Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that was
Okay.
always fun.
All right. So we have from that question that I gave, that I had read, there is
What?
one response that actually makes sense, because it takes, this is the response, because it takes years of experience to become proficient, skilled, connected, and marketable in any career path. The sooner you begin building that experience profile, the more likely you'll become successful at it. Waiting until you are in your mid-20s or later to choose a path puts you at a disadvantage. Next thing you know, you've spent your early 20s or more being indecisive and unmotivated because you just don't feel ready yet to pick a path. So there's pressure applied early. Yeah, so I think this actually makes sense in terms of the response here for this question. Yeah.
My brother talks about that a lot, about taking up, those interests, and, with our kids being homeschooled, we do press those interests. What are you interested in? Start doing something, start working with it, do your research on it. And we have some people in here now that, when we've talked about homeschooling, have discussed that as well.
Yeah, someone says here that you look pretty, in
Yeah.
Swahili. Okay, so the thing is,
Thank you.
question. This is the last question, then we stop. We finish the live. So,
Yeah.
why do you think respect is only one way? Question mark. My parents always told me to be respectful with people. I'm 20, but people think I'm 25. So now I'm fine, but I never understood why adults talk to me like I was inferior or something. Yeah. So I think this is more of like, feels like he's disrespected because he's young. This is what I think it's coming from his question. Yeah, but respect. Respect. Let's first define respect. What is respect?
Well, I mean, to get respect is to give respect. So, I mean, Chris talked about it earlier. People show you who they are, right? Speaking in a, respectful tone, um, not saying, oh, do as I say, not as I do. So live by example. So how you want to be treated is how you show to other people. And then you decide from their response or reaction to you, okay, are those people I want in my life? Because are they just stepping over my boundaries and disrespecting that, then I don't want him in my life. As far as parents go, I don't know. Sounds like this individual on this question feels like he is not being heard. And, it sounds like they need to have a conversation with their parent and express these feelings of why they feel like they're being treated this way, because communication is key to
Yeah.
everything,
Yeah, according to the
right?
dictionary, respect is the consideration and appreciation of the feelings, wishes, rights, and values of others. It
Right.
involves treating people with kindness, dignity, and understanding, even if you disagree with them or they are different from you. So, respect can be shown through actions, words, and attitudes that demonstrate care, empathy, and recognition of others' worth. So, obviously, if you treat someone with dignity, respect, care, they will actually be like, oh, this person is actually treating me with respect, right? And as Chris says here, respect is earned.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
always say to get respect, you need to give respect. So again, if these people aren't at your level, aren't, on that same of giving respect, then reevaluate who you're surrounding yourself with, right?
absolutely,
Because you have that choice in
absolutely.
life. I mean, except when it comes to your parents, because your parents are your parents. Um, but then again, open that line of communication with your parents. And, I don't know specifically to this person who wrote this, what is specifically being done to make them feel so insignificant. And if they're like 20 now, so are they an adult now and their parents are still treating them as a child? Because that definitely needs to be a conversation they should have and say, hey, I'm always going to be your child and I understand that, and address whatever issues it is that they are having specifically.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I get. I mean, he's probably he's saying like they talk to him like he's insignificant. Like you talk to
Yeah.
me like,
He doesn't feel validated.
yeah.
That's what it sounds like.
And he's happy now that he looks older, so people actually treat him with respect because that's what he's perceiving. That people treat him with respect because he looks older. But then this could be a case of someone who's he's having the illusion of that adults treat you with respect, treat fellow adults with respect, but then treat children without, minus the respect. So his mind is set on that. So it's hard for him to turn around and face. I'm referring to the allegory of the cave by Plato, but to face, even if there's some adults who exist who will actually treat you with respect, whether you are an adult, whether you're a child, treat everyone
Right.
equally. And I know Ryan has brought up something. We are told to respect those older than us, but those adults don't always set examples. Again, they are watching, they see what we do. So it's important that if you want your child or to treat you with respect, that you actually, also treat them with
Well, I
respect.
mean, and don't stoop down to the level of just because even if your elders are not being respectful, don't, choose, you have the right to choose who's in your life and who's not. So live by example. So just because they're not acting mature or they're not acting respectful doesn't mean you stoop down to that level and lower yourself, you
Yeah,
know, keep your
absolutely.
head up high, keep your morals. Don't have reactions to other people, because when you have a reaction to said other people, you are no longer in charge of yourself. You have now become a puppet and they're your master. So whatever they say and do, you're going to react to and take back
Absolutely.
that power and respond, because when you respond to someone, you're in charge. So you can still treat them with respect, but doesn't mean you have to have these people in your life, whether they're immature or not.
And and something I read from some blog post, it says that is just to reinforce what you said in terms of when someone does not treat you with respect, don't stoop down to their level. So you cannot change them, but you can
Right.
change how you react to them.
That's right.
Often, this alone can make them want to do better.
Right.
ultimately they are looking for love but have not learned the correct way to achieve it.
Right.
I think the most important thing is um, the way you react to a person will actually be like, you know what, I'm a piece of shit, I actually need to do better. So yeah, don't stoop down to the level. It's like when
Mm-mm.
they say like you go to, you see pigs in a mud and you go, get in that mud with them. So yeah, it's okay. Respect them. Despite, I think if someone is disrespectful to me, I will treat them with respect, but then I'll try to keep my distance from them. Like I don't want anything to do with
Right.
it because yeah.
And that you can even do with family because, of course, family's family. But, sometimes we have family that's toxic, and it doesn't mean that we can't love them. It just maybe we choose to love them from afar. Right. So, again, setting those boundaries and living by example, because that's what our children see. Not so
Yeah.
much what we say, but how we live our life. And that's also how respect is. You get respect when you give respect. And so live by that example. Put your head up higher. It doesn't mean that you're better than somebody else, but don't stoop to their level because when you do, you have given all your personal power over to them.
What to
Don't
them?
do
True,
that.
true,
Don't lose who
absolutely.
you are.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so amazing. Love it. Love the session, guys. Anything else? Let me see. In America, it's a crisis needs switch start over. Most adults are not elders, they are children. Yeah, most of them have actually not grown up. But all of us actually children at heart, you know? And in two ways, we are still stuck like that small child who our parents instilled these limiting beliefs to, who are scared of what people will say, fearful because our parents were very harsh with us. Still have that little child within us. It's just how we decide to treat that little child. Are we going to heal from all this shit we had to go through, rather than being all miserable, like one of the one of the redditors saying that, why are you guys so depressing? Yeah, so it's unfortunate we still have adults who have not actually grown up, who are not
Because
aware.
they haven't unpacked their boxes, is what I call it. So if you have childhood trauma or things that have happened in the past, what
Yeah,
you resist will persist. So if you don't deal with them, they're going to keep showing and rearing their ugly head. So you have to unpack those boxes and deal with them to move forward in life and your relationships, not just relationships, but the relationship with yourself, with your children, your family, your friends, your work. You have to unpack those boxes because whether they rear its head tomorrow, today, or 10 years from now, if you've not resolved them, they're still going to show up. What you resist will persist. Unpack your boxes, deal with it.
yeah, yeah. Ultimately, we say we are not perfect. We are imperfectly perfect.
Yep.
So even as we are trying to navigate, being parents, forming relationships, it's hard work. But I always say, stay true to yourself, and incorporate habits like meditating, journaling, going to the gym, eating healthy. All these habits actually will be good. Anything good for your mind, which is learn something new,
Mm-hmm.
learn something new, read, even this is something new for your mind, for your body. Eat healthy, go to the gym, and for your soul, meditate. If you pray, pray. If you like to worship, worship. Do those things every single day, and you become a better human. And I can actually tell, based on the questions that Ryan was asking, she's more mature than most adults I know. Anyway, so thank you
Yeah,
guys.
because that takes a lot of strength to put that out there and to ask and inquire and want to learn, right? Because you can't grow and you can't change unless you're ready to make that change. So props.
Yeah, thank you so much,
Takes a lot of
Chris.
strength.
And thank you, Jerry. Wells is here. Ryan, thank you
Chris,
so much for making
Chris.
it possible. I have Glow, I have Jasmine, I have Letitia. Um, Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it. So yeah, until next Friday. I hope you guys have a good night. Have a lovely weekend. Don't do
Yes.
what I would not do. Bye bye.
Bye, guys.